of effect that you get in the paintings in your final piece that helps?
Well, what I like is the contrast. So just by turning on this cool blue light, it suddenly makes the neutral white light feel warm. So I don't have to use a colored gel on both lights to create a warm and cool contrast. I just have to warm one up or cool one down, and that will actually automatically create the visual contrast that I wanted. So I put a very light blue gel on this one, and that coolness gives this light a yellowish orange feel, even though it's a very neutral white light. And let's see. So during the photo shoot, I'll just have Grant pose 100 different times, various action sequences, and there's a version that's a little closer to what we finally used for the final. And let's see, I think I've got a composite. Yeah, here we go. So there's Grant. So this is where I try to get as much information as possible. You know, every single figure I'm trying to cram in here. Every one of these is Grant. So I just had him pose, turning him around, getting to play every single character. You know, picking up we had like a broomstick for the spear back here. And if you saw, you know, the fancy shield that he has is just a big piece of cardboard. And so that big piece of cardboard, I went online and found these Roman shields, these historical shields. And so that's what I'd like to do. I like to go right to the sources if I can. So here's some actual real artifacts from the Roman period. So that I'll utilize that information in the final painting. So here's my reference. And that makes the painting obviously go so much easier. Here's the drawing from that. So I love doing the drawing because it gives me a chance to work out some issues, like how is he really holding that shield, or where the straps might be. You can see the character, the creatures on the right-hand side are supposed to be horse-headed humanoids. So that's I had to change the characters up over there quite a bit. And I added a helmet to the middle character in the background. And so after I have this drawing, then you can see obviously the belts and adding the scabbard and changing up a little bit of the equipment on the soldiers as well. And so here's my color study, which is actually just nothing more than a photograph of, because I like the harmonies, I like the browns and the greens in this particular image. So I decided to utilize this as a foundation for my color study. So I actually did not actually make a color study. I didn't actually get out paints and make a color study. I just kept this next to my easel as I worked. And that was what I used to guide my color decisions.
How much time do you allot for research and gathering reference and sketching?
Boy, that's a tough one. On this one, it wasn't too long because it was very easy to find Roman Legionnaire information. So I pulled up a Roman shield within minutes after searching for it. But I had to order the armor and wait about a week and a half for the armor to come in before I could schedule my photo shoot. So this is stuff you can't do under a very tight deadline. You got to have that kind of buffering, the time to maneuver and think about. And I also I didn't quite know what I was going to do for painting until I finally had the sketch approved. So after the sketch approved, then I realized I could go out and buy the armor because that's what we were going to do for the final painting. And let's see. So that's, I don't know, I try to spend, I'll spend sometimes a day or two in the research before I go into a final painting, before I get the photo shoot ready and all that, getting all that information together. So here's a close-up of the final painting. So, it's what I like. The way I like painting the loose enough so that when I'm painting the armor from the photograph, I'm able to blend in things that I make up, like the guy's helmet. So that the helmet here is entirely made up based on some of those references that I had. But I tried to, but I used the color and the lighting that I had seen from my other photographs. So it's loose enough that you can merge together information and make it look seamless. And that's the final painting right there.
And what was this? What was the client here? What was this job for?
It's for Tor Books, and the client is David Drake, which happens to be the writer who I created my very first hardcover illustration for back in 20 years ago, 1993. So it's kind of funny. I'm showing you guys this because it shows an incredible circle that I've gone through as an artist. So I'm right back to working for the same writer that helped start my career.
I know this might be like this is a weird. I think it's a weird question for you, but like this, like you were mentioning about switching styles a little bit. If you were interested in doing something else, have you ever thought about, I don't know, digital painting? I mean, you ever thought about transferring, like trying out digital painting and seeing if you could do that? I mean, you would get paintings on faster if you were interested.
What's that? I could.
Like, have you ever thought about doing this but digitally? Have you ever tried it?
Oh yeah. Here's the thing. So, I got paid to do the book cover, but I got paid 3 times as much when I sold this painting.
There you go.
So I have to do 4 book covers to make how much money I just made on this one painting. That's why I don't do digital.
Okay.
I have too much of a marketplace for my original art.
Yeah.
So it's there's some projects that would almost dictate that they be digital because they are they just I don't think I could sell the original, but I almost never take those anymore because now I know how important it is to my career to have paintings that I can sell because I do have a collector, not a collector base and fans and people who are interested in owning my originals. So I'll never go digital now.
Okay.
As long as I have that, I shouldn't say never, but as long as I have that base of buyers to my work, I'll never have to go digital. So we're gonna wind down here. I've got to close off for the night, you guys. Was there a last question or two?
Yeah, does anybody have any final questions?
Just quickly, what is a typical day like for you?
Let's see. I get up in the morning, prepare my kids' lunches for school. Sometimes ride my bike to school to take the kids, one of my youngest daughter into school. And then so I actually don't get into the studio to start working until 9-ish, about 9 o'clock. And I'll work, usually I'll answer emails, business calls, business, invoicing for about an hour or so. And then I'll get into into the studio to actually paint, draw, make art around 10 o'clock. And from then until, depends on if I'm picking up my youngest daughter from school at 3. So I have just barely 5 hours sometimes to really paint uninterrupted before I get little hiccups in the schedule. So that's very different than what it was in the beginning. When I was younger, like you guys, I could paint 8-10 hours a day uninterrupted. And therefore, a lot of my paintings were very detailed and meticulous in their design and the craftsmanship. So I think I've also painted looser, so I can actually accomplish more too. So there's some aspect of that of loosening up, so I can walk away from a painting, if it dries.